Hi, this is Alicia, the Zipper Lady, and I was on the internet looking for a little bag to carry my knitting in, and I found these fabulous little triangular bags, and I got sucked down the rabbit hole. You can make them any size, and my thought is that I could put my knitting needles, my ball of yarn, and my unfinished sock in something, and when I was done with it, it would collapse in my luggage so that I could bring it home with me. Anyway, so this is one, and it is 5 by 10. This one is 4 by 8. And this one is 3 by 6. Isn't that a cutie? So you can make them virtually any size. And the way you figure out what size they are is whatever the rectangular length is on this side. So this one is 4. This side is 8 minus 1 inch if you're not going to cover or clean up the seams in some way. So if you're just going to zigzag a seam, you do whatever this side is times 2 minus 1. Now if you're going to either do French seams like I'm going to show you today, or you want to serge off something, this would be 5 and 10 or 4 and 8. So this is for French, so there's no deduction for that extra seam. And if you're simply going to leave the seams as they are, this would be 4 by 8 minus 1. So this would be 4 by 7. So this is just scraps. I like the fabric from all of my pillows, but if you have quilting fabric, I usually use a little bit of batting of some sort. We used to call this Thinsulite, and I'm not really sure what you have at home, but honestly, I would test drive it and see what you like with the type of outside fabric you're going to use. This is the end of a little tiny bit of Amy Butler fabric I had. I just love the colors, and I thought, I will commemorate the purse to the quilt with this fabulous fabric. So I'm going to show you 2 ways to do a continuous zipper today. I have yardage. It's number 3 coil, number 5 coil, or number 5 molded. And these are all symmetrical zippers, which means that you can put the pull on either end. So you can make a continuous loop out of one side of the zipper. Let me get a pull for these. The pulls for the molded tooth are more triangular in the front, or in the back rather, on the top. And this goes on a coil. See how much rounder it is? So this would be a coil. This would be a molded tooth. And from the rounded side, you put it on the last bit of zipper, tuck this up into the shoulder, hold on to it, and jiggle it down. And if you can make a loop out of it, you can make one of these little bags, these little triangular bags that I find so fascinating. You can also use the zipper and simply put a pull on either end of the tape and have them meet in the middle. And you can do that also for the number 5 coil. Because of the size of the little pouches, though, I chose to use the number 3. And I have short pulls and long pulls for it, but I prefer the long pulls for the little bags. Then the other thing that I normally do, and I do such a horrible job at it, is putting a little loop on the back of my bag so that I can either attach it to a lanyard or maybe to a clip on the inside of my bag. And all I did to make that is, this is a 2-inch piece cut with my rotary. I folded it in half, and then I matched these, pressed those, and all I'm going to do is just top stitch this. You can do 1 or 2. And this on the little Amy Butler fabric was simply a piece of grosgrain ribbon I had that I folded over and top stitched because I didn't want it that wide. I'm not going to have you watch me painfully put one on a bag. But the main thing you want to do is you want to fold it in half, put a pin right here in the half mark. You know, and you can actually use a piece of zipper that was left over. And I do this with my loop because I think that's kind of cute. And you just pin one side of the zipper to either side, or the loop, whatever loop material you've made. It goes this way and this way, this way and this way, or this way and centered. Your choice. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a zigzag stitch to keep this edge from fraying. Doesn't have to be real fancy, just anything to keep all the fuzzballs from coming out. What I learned after I made a couple of these is that they do get dirty in my bag, and so everything needs to be finished so that it will be washable. So this is the zipper tape, and maybe the pink is easier for you to see. The top side of the zipper has the coil on it. That's the top. And that's how the pull fits on it, like this. The back side is flat and looks almost like an invisible zipper. And so we're going to put that upside down on your fabric. Switch to your zipper foot. The way I sew is that I actually use something that's already on the sewing machine as a guide. So the edge of my zipper foot, the edge of my feed dog, the first line. And I measure that and I add it. So my assumption is that this is 1/4 of an inch. This is a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch. This is almost a half. And I just add that. So the way you're going to add your zipper to this is the coil is going to go down. You're going to align the edge of your zipper with the edge of the top of your bag. And then I'm going to use my zipper foot, and then just using it along that edge, I'm just going to kind of keep a straight edge with it. The reality is you only need about 1/8 of an inch for the zipper pull to slide. And so anywhere in this is just hunky-dory. Because if you've made a mistake or you haven't sewn exactly straight, when you fold this back, you simply fold it evenly and top stitch it. And I normally just use my nail and go down it just to kind of crease it a little bit. I hate threads. You'll see me fighting with them all the time. So if you want to do a regular bag and I think your first test drive should be this way. Just simply turn it wrong side out and stitch this edge that's parallel to your zipper. If you want to do a French seam on this, turn it to the right side, change feet again. I'm going back to my two-toe. And I'm going to just run this seam parallel to the zipper. Fold it over. And I'm going to make this really small. And I'll show you why in a minute, because we're going to turn it inside out. And I don't want to have to clip this. So when I sewed this, I simply sewed it with the crease right there in my foot. And it's roughly 1/8 of an inch. Now then, to make this a French seam, you're just going to turn this to the inside. When I turn my corners, I fold this over and then come through. And I use my little screwdriver from my sewing machine needle to very gently pop that out. I don't want to push very hard because even though this is fabric from a pillow, I don't want to go through it. So now I'm just pressing it with my fingers, and you can open it this way and kind of press it open too, and then fold it on the seam and top stitch it. And that is called a French seam. And this time I'm going to go to the outside of my foot so that I can encapsulate the whole seam on the inside. So that's what it looks like on the inside. It's totally finished. And on the outside, you're going to have some little fuzzies, and you're just going to clip those off. And again, I was working at cutting or turning my corner. This time I picked up my snips. Close them and then use them. Don't do it open, because I was going to clip these, the eyebrows. Now I'm just going to put the pull-on. And I'm left-handed, and so I always cut the left-handed side shorter than the right-hand side. And I don't have any scissors. So this will mess up my snips mightily. All right, I left my scissors over on the work table. So I'm just going to cut this off, so that it's about 1/4 of an inch or more shorter than the other side. And I'm going to line the 2 edges of my bag up, and then fitting the rounded side on first. I'm going to put it on the long side first. Get those edges of the bag squared up again. And the short guy has to go through the shoulder right there at the same level as where I had it held. And sometimes it's a little tricky, you just have to keep trying it. That one was pretty easy. So it's pretty much on. Now then, to make this a little French seam, you're going to start from the outside. I'm going to center the center of my zipper over my seam, not the seam allowance, but the seam, this part. And I'm going to stitch across it. And then I'm going to turn it inside out and make a second seam again. If you don't want to make a little French seam, all you have to do is turn your bag inside out, center the zipper over the seam, and stitch. And I'm just going to go over the zipper. Oops, and wouldn't you know it, I just ran out of thread. I'm going to go over the zipper a couple of times. Ah, yes, it was the bobbin. And let me switch off. Hold on for a sec.